Alright, Generation 6. Now, with the exception of Animal Crossing A New Leaf, the Generation 6 games were my most played game, well, my most played game on the DS. And considering my history with that system, that should say something. The Generation 6 games on a technical level and a design level were really bad. And that will be a theme running on from this game now. Generation 6 games, Generation 7 games, and Generation 8 games have a lot of legitimate, truly legitimate criticism aimed at them. They have some major problems. Generation 5 was really the last generation to really do things interesting. After this, they started to rely on gimmicks a lot, like major battle gimmicks, and they started to really push Generation 1 more than they had ever done before. The Game Freak had always had this fetishistic obsession with Generation 1. They were constantly trying to regain the fans that they had in Generation 1. Keep in mind that Pokemon back in the day was arguably the biggest franchise ever. Nothing in my time of being alive, nothing, even Fortnite or Pokemon Go or anything like that, has come close to the level of sheer unavoidability, sheer hype, sheer hugeness that Pokemon fandom was. Growing up with Pokemon in the 90s, when it became a big thing, was the best time to grow up with Pokemon. But it's also mean a lot of people have kind of soured on the Pokemon series because it's not as good as they remember. But they were part of this magical time, and I think they don't realize that. I am making the nostalgia argument here. Pretty much every generation of Pokemon have good things. Even my least favorite generations, I can sit there all day and go on about all the good things it did. And from Generation 6 onwards, the games had a lot of problems. Generation 6 was probably the worst balanced Pokemon game ever made. With the newly designed experience share, it meant you didn't have to do any training. On one hand, that was nice because you never had to grind in any part. You just had to go for the game and enjoy it, which I'll admit, sometimes that's nice. I don't want to grind for hours on end sometimes. However, if you turn to the experience share off, the game was insanely unbalanced, and it would be the hardest game in the series. It's kind of amazing. It was a really poorly balanced Pokemon game, and it was mainly due to the new experience share. On top of that, they relied heavily on Generation 1. A lot of Generation 1 referential things came into the game. Most of the Mega Evolution Pokemon they added were Generation 1. Charizard even getting 2 forms, which was ridiculous. They had Pokemon Origin to advertise this generation, and this was one of the best Pokemon anime. Pokemon Origin was amazing, especially if you watch the original Japanese version. It's because there's a few censorship changes they make for the Western release, but it is fantastic. The end of the game has a Mega Charizard X fighting against Mewtwo. Yeah. On top of that, you also started off. Not only did you have your starters for the generation that you can see down in your chest bin, but they also gave you the starters from the first generation, which really shat all over the new generation Pokemon, I think, because this is another generation where all 3 of them are really good, in my opinion anyway. They had a Snorlax blocking the road. They had Mewtwo in the game. There was so much in this generation that was, hey, you remember this? And they were really, really, really trying again to regain the people that are never coming back, that have given up on Pokemon, that don't care anymore. We call them Gen 1ers for a reason, because that's the only generation they care about. That doesn't mean that if you just throw Charizard in something, they're going to get their attention, because it isn't Generation 1. It's a Generation 1 Pokemon in a new game. They don't care about the new games. So, I wish they'd stop pandering to Gen 1, but yeah. So, the Generation 6 has a lot of problems, but I really enjoyed it. I completed the Pokedex for the first time since, like, Generation 3. And I really got into it. I really got heavily into breeding since they made breeding easier than ever before with the new hyper training features where they actually showed you EVs for the first time in history, making it really easy to reset EVs without breeding a bunch of berries. It was great. It was fantastic. Generation 6 did so many... I'd argue that Generation 6 is another Generation 4. It did a lot to improve the basic mechanics of the game, but it also fucked up on a lot of the gameplay aspects. It's a real mixed bag. So, and unfortunately dropped this in later generations, but the Gen 6 online feature was the best Nintendo online feature that has ever existed. And then they dropped it in later games because they have this thing with needing to completely throw away everything that worked in the last generation and try new gimmicks. They do it every generation and it's infuriating. Anyway, so that's a big introduction for this. Chespin. Chespin I really like. I really like all three of the starter Pokemon in this generation. I think he's cute. Quilladin, however, can fuck off. This is another fucking pig night. It's... no. What is that face? That is the face of a Pokemon that is getting its dick sucked. I'm sorry, no. Chestnut is great. I love it. I think it's badass. We've got a grass fighting type because apparently every Pokemon since Generation 3 needs to have a fucking fighting type in its starter list. Whatever. But it's grass fighting. It's really cool. I've used it before. It's great. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Fennekin. Unpopular opinion here, but this is actually my favorite starter of this generation. And it is the first fire type that has been my favorite starter ever since I first played the game and really liked Charmander. But instead it changed into the fucking before it turned into Bulbasaur. So at this point Fennekin is the only fire type starter that I would call my favorite. Brixen is amazing. I absolutely adore its design. I think it's adorable. And here's the unpopular opinion. I really like Delphox. Again, I am a fantasy fan, and one of the themes in this, the theme in the starter types in this generation is that they're based on a classic RPG trilogy. So Chestnut is your paladin, it's your fighter, it's your tank, it's the character designed to take damage and deal damage. It's great. Delphox is a wizard, it's a sorcerer, some kind of mage. It uses a stick as a focus for its magical power. It is a fire psychic type. I think it's fucking awesome. I love its design. I think it looks great. I love foxes. There's something about foxes in general that turn them into really cool Pokemon. I don't think there's a fox Pokemon in the series of the games that I don't like. So yeah, like, I think it's great. Really a popular opinion. The most popular Pokemon in the generation. In fact, this Pokemon rivals Charizard in its popularity. Frogadier is really cool. Greninja. This is my least favorite of the three, which is weird for me, considering how much I not only like water Pokemon, but I also like frogs. And it's not just because of its popularity. On top of that, it also has the coolest fucking shiny ever. It has like this black ninja fucking shiny. Again, this is like they recreated Charizard. They added Ash Greninja, and this is the major reason why I hated it. You know this existed purely because of the popularity of the Pokemon. They didn't do this because Greninja was this worked with the story. They did this because Greninja was popular, so they marketed it more, and it ended up in Smash Bros as well. So yeah, Greninja is the most popular fucking starter Pokemon since fucking Charizard. It's insane. And I just don't like it as much as I like the other ones, which is interesting because I tend to like roguish characters. I love frogs. I love water types. You know, I love black shinies. There's so much in this. It has the protein of fucking ability as its hidden ability, which is one of the best, most broken fucking abilities one could ever have. It ticks so many of my buttons, and it might actually just be it might have been my favorite starter if the other two were just not so fucking good. So this is your pickup HM slave for the game, and this is the monstrosity it becomes. Fletchling. This is the first time they really started to go out of the box when it came to the early bird Pokemon. Fletchling is cute. I love the fact that it has a little bird face in its eye, but I also find that once you see that, you can't unsee it, and it looks more like you're looking at a picture of a bird on a bird than you're looking at a bird itself. Fletchinger is really cool, and Talonflame is fantastic. It is a fire flying type. I didn't use it in my first playthrough for obvious reasons because I had a Delphox. But, although I also picked up Charizard because I really wanted to use Mega Charizard X. I know, all I hate, like, I have a very complicated relationship with Charizard. It has Flame Body, and it can learn Fly. This was my breeding companion. This was my breeding companion. This thing was amazing. This was the breeder's friend. You didn't need a Pokemon in your party to fly around as well as a Flame Body Pokemon to make eggs hatch faster. Mine was named Lilith. In fact, I think you saw it briefly in the first generation video I did because of the Shiny Ninetales video I put at the end. And yeah, it's great. Talonflame is fantastic. It is the first early bird they have ever made in the history of this series at this point. That they actually put some thought into. Because every early bird, especially like from... Yeah, I'd say ever. Every early bird, as much as I love Pidgey, as much as I love Hoothoot, you know, like, as much as people love Staraptora, it's the first early bird where they actually put some effort into to make unique. Scatterbug is the Caterpie of the thing. Yeah. This thing is only cool because of the different patterns it can have depending on the area you live in. See if we can find my pattern. Elegant pattern. Garden. That was that. That was the UK's pattern. And it's so funny because actually one of my favourite ones. There's also a Pokeball pattern. They don't have it here. But there's one that made it look like a Pokeball one, which is an event one that I really like. I've still got that somewhere. It's really cool. Litleo, it's a normal fire type. Why it's normal type, I don't know. Pyroar, this is your male and female. This is your Ninetales, or your fucking good boy doggo, I forget its name, Growlithe of the game. There's something about it that's just kind of off. I think it because it looks too much like the villain of the game. I don't like it. Flabébé! It's not Flabébé, it's Flabébé. Technically, Pokemon's supposed to be pronounced Pokemon. But yes, that is an A. This is Flabébé. I love this thing. It is a furry type, and it is most likely the first furry type you're ever going to get. You can get a bunch of different colours, including some rare colours, depending on the flowers you get it at. And the Pokemon really is this thing. It's not the flower. That's just the flower it floats on. It essentially uses a flower as kind of like a magic carpet. It's really cool. I love it. I think it's adorable little furry type, and it's really good as well. Floette. Second form. Because of the magic of evolution, its flower kind of evolves with it, and it turns its flower into some kind of like magical wand. And then Foragus, where it completely merges with the flower like some kind of druid, and becomes this like... ancient fae kind of creature. And again, like the colors of it, I think mine was blue. There's like blue, there's white, there's orange, there's yellow, there's red, there's it's great. I love the idea behind it. It's a great Pokemon. It's really good. It really kind of like hammered in. Furry types are a legitimate contender to dragon types. And since then, furry types have shot up to kind of like leave dragons in a dust. Dragons are no longer the powerhouse they used to be. Furry types, steel types, they are the two best types. And if you ever get a furry steel type, watch the fuck out. Great. Love it. Amazing. Skiddo. This is one of the reasons Sawbuck went down, because Skiddo and Go-Goat are basically the exact same as Sawsbuck, with a much better moveset. They don't have the weakness to fighting type. And yeah, like, it's like they took Sawsbuck and they mixed it with Miltank. And this is the result. Go-Goat is great. It's really fucking good. It's one of my favorite choices for a grass type in the game. You can get it really early on. It has an amazing move pool. One of the best move pools in the game. It's an incredibly useful Pokemon. It might not have the best stats of the grass types in the series. I honestly don't know. But its moveset is fan-fucking-tastic. I could not recommend this thing enough. It is absolutely fucking great. Pancham. People wanted a panda Pokemon for fucking years, and they finally got one with Pangoro. It is great. It looks fantastic. I love it. It is useless. They added Pangoro, a fighting dark type panda Pokemon that people have been wanting for absolutely fucking years. In the generation where they added furry types, it is very, very slow. It will be one-shot by the abundance of furry types in this generation and in generations since. If this Pokemon was introduced earlier, it would have had a better time, because Scraggy is also fighting Dark, and that was a fantastic Pokemon. If this was introduced earlier, it would have had a better life, but unfortunately it was introduced in the exact same generation where they introduced the furry types, which are the new dragons. So, Furfrou. I like this thing. It's the kind of early normal type Pokemon. Well, it's a one-stage kind of normal type, and you can give it, like, different trims. It's not got all of them here, it's just got the basic ones. It's like a Top Hat one and the Furrow one as well. These are just the basic ones. But I really like it. I love the whole idea of, you know, it's a good doggo that's based on a poodle, and you can take it to a salon and get it done up in different, like, styles. I really like that, actually. I've used one a few times before. It's not the greatest. Its fur coat ability makes it a little bit better. It's not the greatest. It's got kind of mediocre stats, but in terms of, like, an RP run or a Pokemon that just makes you feel connected with your Pokemon, Furfrou is one of the best. I really like it. This thing is pointless outside of memes. This thing is pointless, both the male and the female version. Honedge. Honedge I credit as being the Pokemon that made me start to appreciate object Pokemon. Because before Honedge, I hated pretty much every object Pokemon. Remember my opinions on Chandelier, on Garbodor, and all that kind of thing? That was not just down to them being silly looking, it was down to them being object Pokemon. I couldn't get my head around, even if it was a ghost, I couldn't get my head around the idea of an object Pokemon. Honedge changed my mind on that. This was on my original team. It was the Pokemon I was most excited to use. Out of all the Pokemon they announced for Generation 6, this was the one I was the most excited to use. It is a possessed sword. And it reminds me of Ascendrick, which is an NPC/companion/weapon you can acquire in my favourite game, Neverwinter Nights. Specifically in the second expansion, Hordes of the Underdark. You can acquire it in the very first section of the Underdark. It is the soul of a wizard that has been stuck inside a sword, and you can change the shape of a sword to like a dagger or a greatsword or a longsword, depending on which fits your character the most. You can talk to it, you can take it throughout the rest of the game with you, and that's why I named my Honedge Ascendrick. So it's got that connection. I love the idea of it. I love the idea of if you touch its hilt, the sword will actually possess you. It will wrap its ribbon arm around you and use that to hold on to you and possess you. Very JoJo. Really cool. Doublade. Same thing, but there's two of them. It's the weakest entry in the list, but I quite like it. Aegislash, however. It is a sword that holds a shield. It is a possessed sword that holds a shield. Why do we even need humans at this point? Just send them into battle. Like, it's so fucking cool. Let me show you the proper form. Blade form. It is a sword that uses a shield. It is so dumb. I love it. I love this fucking thing. I had this. I was so happy when I finally got the stone to evolve this thing. I actually built it really incorrectly. I didn't have King Shield on my I got rid of that. But it's like Generation 6 was really easy. I didn't really need it. But you really should have King Shield on it. But yeah, it's cool. I love it. Might actually just be, well, for a while, this was my favorite Pokemon of this generation. We'll get to my actual favorite Pokemon of this generation later on, but fucking amazing. For the Pokemon they designed to be based on a Plague Doctor, I wanted a lot better than this. This is awful. Swirlix is much cuter. It's this little bundle, like this little poof ball of, like, designed after a cupcake. Apparently eats all. It's like the Pinkie Pie of Pokemon. It's cute in a weird kind of pug sort of way. I like it. Inkay's cool. Inkay's the next. Inkay's cool. I love its type combination of Dark Psychic. I love how it evolves by turning the 3DS upside down into Melimar. One of the most evil motherfucking, like, Lovecraftian badass Pokemon they've ever made. I don't think there's a... Like, they always used to say there are no evil Pokemon, just evil people. Nah, fucking evil Pokemon exist because Melimar is a thing. I love it. I love it. It's so... It's so sinister. It is the mind flayer of Pokemon. It controls people with mind control and makes them do sinister things. Because nobody should fuck with Melimar. Melimar. I love it. Binacle. Fuck this thing. Fuck this thing. I like it, but I really like it when it evolves into Dragalge, which is not a dragon type. It's a poison water type. Oh, it is a dragon type. Okay, sorry. It's not a water type. It's a poison dragon type. That's where I got confused. Yeah, it's a water Pokemon that lives in the water, but it's not a water type. Amazing, right? But I suppose it's like every Pokemon that lives on ground that isn't a ground type, so it makes sense. I like it. It's really cool. Clauncher. This was the version I had because I had Pokemon X. I like it. It's this stupid little shrimp with a giant hand that it uses as a bazooka. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to a point where I fucking love it. Yeah. Helioptile. I kind of like it. Apparently it was really popular, but there's just something about most electric types where I just don't like. It might just be the color. I might just not like yellow. I don't know. Tyron. Say hello to my favorite fossil type Pokemon. Fucking, the birdie didn't fucking have a long stay because, I mean, technically speaking, I love them both. It's hard for me to really choose, but this is fucking T-Rex. I had this guy in my very first team. I was super excited when I first saw it. I wanted it on my team. This, oh god, the internet's gonna go again, isn't it? The king of dinosaurs, Tyrantrum. Finally, the internet's back. Yeah, I loved it. Like, how could you not love this? As a kid growing up, who for Christmas presents, because I was this into prehistoric history, I was this into animals, for Christmas presents I would get books on dinosaurs and animals. Not even lying. That's what I would get every Christmas growing up from various family members. I'd end up with like a pile of books and I'd sit around reading them. I was a weird kid. That was what I was into. I wasn't into sports. I wasn't actually into video games until later on in life. I was into reading books on dinosaurs and things. Like, it's why I'm a walking encyclopedia on a lot of the natural stuff. Of course, a lot of it's outdated now. Because I think I got rid of a lot of those books. I don't know where they are now, but a lot of it is truly outdated. It's old knowledge. We've learned more things since then, but yeah, which actually just excites me. The idea that in my lifetime, I'm only 30, and in my lifetime we have learned so much. That's beautiful. I love that. That excites me. Being ignorant about a lot of this stuff doesn't upset me. I'm glad that we've got this far. I love that. Like, in 30 years we've learned so much. I love that. Like, it's great. Anyway, yeah, dinosaurs. You can see how excited I get with dinosaurs. And whilst I love the birdie from the last video, I also love this one. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say I might even have them on a dual team at one point. That fossil team, that would be interesting. Yeah, I love Tyrantrum. He's great. No complaints. Perfect Pokemon. Like, the only issue I have with it is that's a rock type. And rock types kind of suck. But it's a fossil type, so it's kind of like mandatory. Speaking of weaknesses, whilst I really like Aurorus, it is a rock ice type. Which means it is weak to pretty much everything in the game. It is the worst type combination a Pokemon could ever have. A fucking level 1 Magikarp could probably kill this thing. Yeah. Sylveon, a new fairy type, and a new Eevee. Real major departure from the kind of Eevee style. The face especially, it looks kind of weird. Also the idea of flesh ribbons. Imagine getting one of these flesh ribbons caught in a door or something. Ooh. Like getting your dick caught in a door. Like, no thank you. But, I like it. I go through moments of this thing where it creeps me out and where I think it's adorable. I'm actually not sure where it stands. But considering the fact that it's a fairy type, I think that works, because Fae are not supposed to be cute, really. Fae are not supposed to be cute, and they're not supposed to be evil. They're supposed to be some kind of weird alien force that we're not quite understand. Like, not alien as an extraterrestrial, but alien as in unknown. Fae are, if like in terms of folklore, Fae are really interesting. They're very mysterious. They can often be dangerous, and despite a lot of their times their cuteness or their beauty, that just hides the true danger behind. And I think that fits Sylvie into a T. I think it's a very nicely designed Pokemon. Even if it creeps me out, I think that works to it. Harlucher. Those of you who know me know what I'm going to go on about here. I never used Harlucher on my first playthrough. I thought it looked really cool, but I already had like a flying type on my team. I had a Charizard on top of a Delphox. I'm a bad person, I know. And I didn't want another flying type on my team, so I kind of ignored it. But I played a lot post-game, and I really got into the Friend Safari, which was a really cool feature in the Generation 6 games, where every person on your friends list had a random type, like a theme paw or a random type patch of grass associated to them. So it would, if they hadn't played the game, there would be 2 Pokemon in there of a specific type. If they had played the game and beaten it, there would be 3 Pokemon in there of a specific type. And I don't know whose Friend Safari I got it from, I can't remember, but one time I was just in there at night, going through the Friend Safaris, looking through them, and I found a shiny Harlucher. I was super excited. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I remember that very, very vividly. It was 11 o'clock at night. I was kind of tired. I threw a Dusk Ball at it. My favourite ball, I think Dusk Balls look really cool. In fact, you might be able to see one of them behind me on the shelf up there, just behind that Eevee. I love that Pokeball. I love its design. I love the effect of like shadows after you throw it. It's my favourite Pokeball. I love it. It's great. So I caught it in a Dusk Ball, and I got it. Later on, from watching the Maryland stream, I would actually name it Luchadorable, because that was he has a Harlucher at that time, and that was the name his community decided to give it. They only thought it was a good name, and actually thought that was a cool name myself, so I copied that person. So if you're out there, great name, Luchadorable. It had its hidden ability, which was Mold Breaker, which is a very nice ability. It had max IVs in 2 of its stats, one of which was strength, well, attack, which was really good. And it didn't have the best nature, but it didn't have the worst nature. So I leveled it up. I hyper trained it as best I could. I got it into perfect stats. I leveled it. I got all the ribbons on it. Like I took it through the gym. I got the walk ribbon, the friendship ribbon. I got the daily ribbons on it that you could get in those games, and I fell in love with it because it wasn't completely broken, but it wasn't completely weak. It was a really nice middle of the road style Pokemon, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I thought it was fantastic, and since then, it has come with me. It has come with me into Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, namely Alpha Sapphire. I got all the ribbons on it in that. It completed the competition mode. It got all the ribbons in the competition mode. So when it was sent out the ball in that game anyway, not only did it do the shiny sprite thing where it glowed a little bit, but also it did an extra thing because of achieving championship in all the competitions. I even did a bit of the battle tower with that in Sun and Moon. I went through Sun and Moon with it. I completed the battle royale with it. The Battle Royale mode. I completed not all of it, but the first stage of the Battle Tower I did with it. Again, I got as many, not all, but almost all the ribbons I could, because I couldn't beat the final Battle Tower with it. But yeah, I couldn't beat the final Battle Tower in general, so it came with me in Sun and Moon. It came with me in Sun and Moon, the remakes of Sun and Moon, the Ultra Sun and Moon, or whatever it's called. The new ones, it came with me in that. It didn't come with me in Let's Go, because it couldn't. And it took a while for it to be able to be sent over to Sword and Shield, but that is where it currently resides. It currently resides within Sword and Shield has a really cool feature where it's you can give it an extra name based on the ribbons it's earned. So mine is called Luchadorable the Shining Star, based on the competition rewards from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This is my Pikachu. This is the Pokemon that it has come with me in every game since, and will come with me in every game since, as long as it can. And if I ever lose it for like data corruption or something like that, it will be like losing a pet. I'm not even joking. I am so attached to this thing at this point, it will be like losing a pet. Because I love it. I really do love it. It's been my companion for several games now, for hundreds of hours. It's been my main companion. Which is weird to say, but yeah. And honestly, if it wasn't for the sheer attachment I have to Eevee, this would be my favorite Pokemon. So you can probably guess that it is my second favorite Pokemon. Specifically the shiny version, my shiny version, but I like the regular version. Harlucha is great. It is not only one of the best designed Pokemon they have ever made, it's not only a pretty popular Pokemon thanks to it being in the anime, which helps with, you know, seeing it in more things. There's less of a chance that it's going to be left at the wayside because it's really popular. It's got one of the coolest shinies they've ever made. I love it shiny. I love Ash's Harlucha in general, which I found afterwards. It is the ultimate perfect Pokemon, because it's the Pokemon I've developed a real bond with, which is weird to say about a bunch of pixels on a screen, but it's true. When I lose this, it will be like losing one of my dogs, which is insane to say, but it just shows you how attached I've got to this thing. So yeah, Harlucha, it's my second favorite Pokemon of all time, and my favorite Pokemon this generation. Love it. The Dene, this generation's Pikachu. Carbink, boring. Gumi, we've got the Pseudo Legendary. This is a weird dragon type. They actually did something different with this dragon type. It's just dragon. It's not dragon water or dragon poison, despite it might give you otherwise. It's a very slimy kind of like slug dragon. Really interesting concept. It's also a massive fetish for a lot of people online, apparently. Whatever. People like feet. I won't understand some fetishes. What can I say? Like, feet is a very common fetish. I will never understand some people when it comes to fetishes. But yeah, Gumi's great. I don't really feel strongly about it, but I don't feel like it. I can see why people like it. I'm not huge on it, but I don't hate it, if you know what I mean. I really like it, but I don't love it. It's one of those. Klefki. Klefki really was the turning point for me. Like, Honedge was the start, Klefki was the final point. Klefki is so dumb. It's brilliant. Klefki is the room of Pokemon. It is... The keys aren't part of it. The keys are actual keys. It is literally a key-shaped face with two long arms. It collects keys, lost keys from humans, and uses them to scare away predators. Now, this is a steel fairy type, right? Which means one of its major weaknesses is fire. Now, what happens when you jangle keys in front of a cat? They don't get scared, they get excited, and they try and play with the keys. This is the generation with Litleo, a fire-type lion cub-based Pokemon. Not only is it dumb, but its means of defense are counterproductive. It is the stupidest Pokemon that has ever existed, to the point of being incredibly endearing. I really like Klefki. It is so stupid. It is fun. Love it. Phantump. This Pokemon introduced 2 Grass Ghost Pokemon, both of which evolve via trade evolution in the exact same area. We've got Phantump, this little soul of a lost child that died in the woods that eventually evolves into Trevenant. Really fucking cool. I like it a lot. I think it's absolutely fucking great. Major contender for one of my grass types when I do runs. I love it. It's really cool. Pumpkaboo. I love pumpkins. I love the smell of pumpkins. I love the taste of pumpkins. I love eating pumpkin seeds. I love eating pumpkin spice in my coffee. I love pumpkins. I love autumn. I love the Halloween season. This is one of my favorite Pokemon. Gourgeist, unfortunately, means I don't use it too much, because it looks like a penis, and the pumpkin head being its body is weird. Pumpkaboo is so cute, and Gourgeist just ruins it. I do like the gimmick of it having several different sizes, which will affect what stats it gets. So the bigger it is, the higher damage it does with physical attacks, but the lower speed it has. Really cool. Means you can use different Punkaboos in multiple ways. So on top of the basic things like IVs and EVs, it's going to have natural stats based on its size as well. That's really interesting. I love the idea of that. Really cool. Just a shame that Gourgeist is so fucking ugly. It's an iceberg Pokemon. I don't care. It's an iceberg Pokemon. I don't care. Noibat. One of the coolest design Pokemon they've ever made. It's a bat dragon. A dragon flying type Pokemon. And it evolves into this absolute fucking wrecking house of a beauty. Noivern is metal as fuck. I love it. It is so cool. I adore this Pokemon. It is amazing. Look how cool it is. The colors alone. Mint green, purple, black. Yes! If I was designing a Pokemon based on my tastes, those would probably be the colors that shows up. It is so fucking metal. It is really good in battle. It's one of the best Pokemon in the games. It's super speedy. It hits super hard. It looks badass. It is a perfect Pokemon. Emeltel. I like it. It's a legendary, so I never use it, but I do think it has that legendary feel. I don't think it's over-designed. It's very mysterious and regal. It's perfect for a furry type. Yveltal. Again, I'll never use it because it's a legendary, but I do like it. I like how its tail also looks like a hand. I know the whole X and Y thing is a bit weird, but no, I really like it. I get this. It really strikes me as this like evil, dark type that will consume the world in a massive hug. I like it. It's really cool. Zygarde. I legitimately really like this legendary. I have not liked a legendary this much since fucking Generation 3. I love its complete form. It's a proper fucking mech. I don't usually go for that thing, but just seeing it in Pokemon is cool, and I love its like honeycomb design, each of which being like compartments of different cells. I love the concept. I love the colors. I love the design. I love it. It's great. 10% form, the doggo. Who doesn't love a good doggo? Great. 50% form. Yeah, a little snake. It's great. I love it. I think Zygarde is one of the coolest legendaries they've ever made. I think it's great. It's better than Carbink. Oh, there's a Mega form, apparently. Yeah. It's better than Carbink, but that's all I can say about it. Don't care about it. Oh, wait, there's Hooper. That's apparently a form, not an evolution. Yeah, as you can tell, I don't know much about it. I don't care about it. I think it looks more like a Zelda boss than it does a Pokemon. This thing is dumb. For the first fire-water type, they could have done much better than this stupid thing. And yeah, next we'll be on Generation 7. So, yeah, most of these were really good. And you can tell how passionate I was about a lot of these Pokemon. Hawlucha especially, but like Noivern and Honedge. Even Klefki. Generation 6 Pokemon were really good. And that's ultimately the thing for me. I can enjoy I enjoy a generation based on how much I like the Pokemon. And I really like the Pokemon in Generation 6. And I really like the Pokemon in Generation 5. And that has resulted in me really liking these games. Same with Generation 3. Only Generation 3 has the benefit of not only having really good Pokemon, but having really good gameplay. Especially a Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, minus the lack of a battle tower at the end. That was a real disappointment. Like, a Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are fantastic because they're one of my favorite games in the series because it's Generation 3. And it has, like, so many of the Pokemon I absolutely love from Generation 3, with the ability to send over a bunch of the other Pokemon that I love as well from Generation 5 and 6. Brilliant. On top of that, it has all the mechanics improvements from Generation 6. I should say it has all the optional stuff and the improvements in terms of Generation 6. So, like, it has Hyper Training, it has Pokemon and Me, it has the fucking fantastic online system that they ruined in Generation 7 and 8. They really ruined in Generation 7 and 8. It has a new feature where you can stalk Pokemon in the grass and you can target certain Pokemon, which makes getting Pokemon with better IVs or hidden abilities or like egg moves really easy and fun, as well as getting shinies easier than ever. I'd honestly argue that despite the fact that it lacks the Battle Tower, a Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are most likely the best games in the series. I'd say they're the most complete and most enjoyable games in the series. A Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And that was Generation 6. Prior to that, it would have been Soul Silver and Heart Gold, which are Generation 4 games. Which means they were what was at the time the best game, Generation 2, mixed with all the mechanical improvements that Generation 4 introduced. Because whilst I don't like the Pokemon in Generation 4, I like the mechanical improvements. Generation 4 was a huge leap forward. One of the best games with the great mechanical improvements, which is why the Gen 2 remakes like Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the best. So that's what I'd argue were the best in the series. Like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and a Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, for very similar reasons. But yeah, it's not going to be quite as positive moving forward, but it's still going to be very positive because we're ranking the Pokemon here, not the games themselves. And Generation 7 also introduced a lot of Pokemon that would become my favorite. And quite frankly, they introduced like 2 or 3 Pokemon that felt like they were designed just for me, because they couldn't have been more up my alley. See you then.